Adam Lerner, and today we are here in Lightroom looking at a photo set of my friend's band Bucky Hayes on the radio. And these are some images that I shot with film. Now, a lot of you guys are wondering, like, why the heck would you want to shoot a live band in a club with film? I mean, you've got there's so many variables that are working against you. Number one, typically in a live venue, like a rock club, for example, like this place here in Brooklyn, the lighting isn't fantastic. And look, as a musician, I've been, on stage enough to know what happens when you play these small clubs. These guys typically, there's one sound guy. He typically doesn't really give a crap about whether or not he's going to focus the lights on each individual band. In fact, I often get the impression that these guys set the lights up once and that's it, like for the duration of the club being open. So, bearing that in mind, you're going to have to deal with some kind of less than desirable lighting. So that means that you need to shoot potentially at a high ISO. You're also going to need to shoot at a fast shutter speed. Reason for that being is that, if you're shooting too slow, you're going to get all kinds of motion blur, okay? And when you're shooting, live rock stuff, there is something to be said about getting a little bit of blur, depending on what the shot is. Like, I love blurring drumsticks and stuff like that. I think that's kind of cool. But if the musicians are actually out of focus, then I think that, we've got some issues that, we just don't really find to be appealing. So in this case, I decided to bring my Nikon F100. Now, the F100 is very much like a D700. In fact, it's physically, if you put the two next to each other, they look almost identical. It's pretty remarkable. It's got matrix metering. It's got full-on autofocus. You can shoot up to 1/8,000th of a second. What else? It uses all of my AFD and AFS lenses, so it's compatible with pretty much all the equipment I own. It's compatible with all my speed lights. I mean, other than shooting film, it's pretty much, like an old friend and something that I shoot with all the time. Now, the other reason why that I wanted to bring the film camera is because I just wanted to see what it would look like, I mean, typically at these venues, you've got all these different lights, all these different colors, and, I just wanted to just get a sense of, it's been a while since I shot color. It's been a while since I shot a live show with color. So I said, screw it. Why not? Okay. So one of the other things that I realized is that I needed to get a few more stops out of my film because I knew that I really didn't want to shoot anything faster than 1/60th of a second because I would be closing my shutter down too quickly. I knew that I would be shooting at f2, which was going to probably soften my images, but I didn't care. So I pushed the film from 400 to 1000, okay? And that got me a few more stops because I'm under-processing or underexposing my film. And honestly, I think the results came out pretty cool, all right? So let me just start with the first image in this set right here. And we'll just look at that. Now this one you can see, it's really, really super soft. We've got a lot of stuff that's blown out over here. Just not a lot of detail. This isn't so bad, but overall, it's not what I feel to be, really acceptable. And again, I do like this little bit of motion blur that we have going on there, but I'm not crazy about it. This to me works really super well. We've got nice framing over here. We've got these cool lights on the top. We've got Bucky's face. We can see his eyes. We can see him strumming. We've got the shadow of his hand. We've got, Sonny in the background here. James over here on the bass. I like this one. I think this works really super well. Here's another one that I think is a lot of fun. We've got Matt and Bucky. They're kind of having a little bit of a jam. Matt's doing some kind of guitar lead over here. Bucky's checking him out, and Sonny's looking up. So you've got this nice interaction, and this diagonal line formed by these lights, to me, really kind of works. And this is the thing. I was shooting with a 35 f2. That's it. Fixed 35 millimeter. That meant that I got really close up on the stage. I also don't mind that we've got the blur here because you can see he's rocking out. I think that's kind of cool. Another shot of Matt doing a little bit of a solo here. Again, it's a little bit soft, but it's there. To me, it works. You know, you've got the impact of what's going on. The information is there, and I like it. You know, I like the rim light that's happening on his head from this stage light over here. You know, the lighting that's kind of gracing along over here. It just kind of works to me. This shot's great of Bucky. He's just making that, you know, kind of like rock star expression. You know, again, a little bit of motion blur, but I really like the way how tight the framing is. And, you know, granted, with a 35, I am pretty darn close, but that's kind of how I like to shoot. Here's another neat shot I thought of. You know, we've got some great light on the guitar over here. You know, we've got, you know, nice focus on this part of Bucky. We've got Brian over here on the keyboard in the background and James over here. So I like to look for those kind of opportunities where I can frame other band members in the shot, and I think that this one does a nice job with that. Of course, here's Sonny rocking out on the kit. Just love it. You know, I love the blurred out sticks over there. You know, and granted, you know, I'm like really literally up on the stage with that 35 to get this shot. The other thing I also really love about these shots is because there is a black scrim behind the band, you know, all these shots really, you know, the background just completely fades out to black. So it's not like there's a lot of super distracting elements in the frame other than the musicians and their instruments. Here's a shot of Brian. You know, I just kind of got up close and, you know, I like it. I didn't want to leave him out because he was kind of sitting on the edge of the band. So, you know, it kind of works. Again, a little soft, little bit of fringing going on at that F2, but it kind of works. Shot of James. James was standing more in the back of the stage, and he didn't have a ton of light on him. But, you know, look, it works. I mean, he's doing his thing. He's singing, he's playing. Lights are on him. You know, it does its thing. And then this is just another shot of Bucky, and I guess they had a guest doing some saxophone over here. You know, it's kind of like maybe not the most flattering angle, but I do like that the head of the guitar, the headstock of the guitar is in there, and, you know, you get kind of the gist of what's going on over there as well. So that's basically it for this set. I posted the images in the blog post if you guys want to take a closer look at them. And, you know, look, there's nothing really, you know, hugely to be gained, let's say, about shooting film. I actually love the look of it. I love the tones that we got here. I love that kind of extra grain. I think that going forward, shooting in a live venue, I would certainly want to bring a faster film like a 3200 black and white, or maybe even an 800 speed film, and push it a little bit more. But I'm pretty happy with this, what we have over here. And if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. That's it for now, and we'll see you soon.